Hey, Cavs fans, welcome to another episode of the Cavs Pick and Roll Podcast, the podcast for diehard Cavs fans. And Alex, you got to be a pretty diehard fan to still have hope. Do you have hope, Alex?
Hey, man, we've been down 3-1 before, right?
Yeah.
Yo, last time it happened right here, baby.
Yeah. You're pretty brave to be wearing that 2016 NBA champs hat today, but I like it, man. I like it. That means you're optimistic, which I know you're not, but hey, let's go with it anyway. So it's been a little bit since we recorded. You were actually up north for a little while, doing your yearly trip. It feels like a yearly trip, at least to Canada, right? Toronto.
Yeah. I actually was in Toronto exactly 1 year ago. At the same time, I went to that Maple Leafs game, saw the Maple Leafs playoffs game, and this year I got to go again. Went to the game 2 of the Maple Leafs versus Lightning, which was it was insane. It was quite the game. There was blood on the ice. There was a fight,
Nice.
constant fighting. There was 3 players in the same box for penalties.
Mm-hmm.
One player, I think maybe 2 players might have been ejected. It was wild. It was just wild.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, now you're back, and we have played 4 games now in this first round matchup against the Knicks. The Cavs are not in a good spot right now. They are
Did we
down.
play 4 games? I feel like we only played one
It's
game, Corey.
it's today.
The Cavs only played
was,
one game of basketball.
Well,
The
they
rest
only
of
played
I
one
don't know what they've been
actual,
doing the rest of the
decent
time.
game of
Yeah.
basketball. Yeah, but the other 3 games has been trash. But they're down 3-1 right now, Alex. And I don't know how deep we want to go into all these games at this point. To be honest with you, neither one of us are very psyched or anything. Right, we're kind of down in the dumps right now. Wasn't a fun weekend if you're a Cavs fan, right? They go to New York, they lose Friday night. Probably the worst game of the season. And today, Sunday, they had a 1:00 game, and lost again. So let's talk about, Alex, just what's overall, instead of going through each game one by one and reliving the pain, kind of just overall, what's your take right now? What's the problems that you see? So on and so forth.
New York's just a bad matchup for us. I feel like I hate to throw the blame at JB, but it feels like we're being outcoached, and it looks like we're being outcoached with just the rotations that we're putting out there. I don't know how many times, Jetty was out there. They kept putting Jetty on Brunson, and Jetty just cannot guard Brunson. Like, Brunson was torching Jetty at the end of the game, both game 1 and game 3. They had Jetty guarding Brunson towards the end of the game, and Brunson was just going off. And they weren't making any substitution or changes. Put Okoro out there, put LeVert out there, put somebody else on him.
Neto,
I don't care.
even
I
Neto,
don't care
throw
who.
Neto at him at this point.
Yeah.
Throw
Let Neto pester him.
Yeah.
Just stop letting Brunson go off on Jetty. Jetty hasn't been able to guard Brunson for 15 minutes of the game. He's not going to start guarding him the next 15 minutes.
We talked about before the playoffs starting, like, not concerned, but like we were curious, like how's JB going to handle the rotations? And it's a playoff rotation, so of course it's always a short one. But yeah, the Chetty thing on Brunson, I'm not crazy about. Danny Green on Julius Randle is another very strange one that happened for a few games.
Well,
like, I don't
we had
understand
Green.
that.
We got Green. We picked up Green. We didn't play him at all during the regular season. Now all of a sudden he's in the rotation for the
20-minute
playoffs.
guy. Yeah. Yeah. He didn't play that long today, but yeah, it's just weird. And I'm just like, you know what? Give me a Lamar Stevens, just something. Maybe he'll provide a spark off the bench. Like, this is where I hope, it's win or go home at this point, right? If they don't win the next game, the season's over, and he might have to go a little bit deeper into his rotation and try something new. Maybe you give a Neto a 5-minute run just to see. He won't play Rubio, right? Rubio's not getting a ton of time, and that's mainly because he's that Kevin Love defensive liability, right? He can't keep up with the young guards on the Knicks. So throw Neto out there, bring a Lamar Stevens in, see if they bring a spark, see if something changes, you know. But another thing too that you were texting me that I was kind of surprised too. Like I feel like our bigs are getting outworked and we're getting out rebounded as well. Like overall throughout this series,
Yeah,
they're not having
overall,
as big
yeah.
as an impact that I thought they would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was saying. The rebounding has been atrocious the last couple of games. Just bigs not boxing out. Just even their like guards and forwards are getting in there and crashing the boards, and we aren't. Like they're just getting tons of offensive rebounds and
Yeah.
second chance points because we're not doing a good job of rebounding. And that's really eating us up.
Yeah, and that's usually one of our fortes, right? I mean, we got the two 7-footers down there. I mean, they should be grabbing everything and anything. And yeah, the Cavs are just getting outworked, out hustled. The Knicks just want it more. Game two was, it feels like an anomaly at this point. Game two was a great game at home. The Cavs blew them out. You know, they made this game's all about making adjustments. That first game felt tight, but we were always playing behind, and we kind of let that one slip away, unfortunately. And game two, we made adjustments. We started to double Brunson. We started to press their guys a little bit more, and the Knicks were fumbling the balls and turning it over, and the Cavs were just lighting them up on the other end, and it was an easy win. And then the Knicks made an adjustment come game three. They pressed Garland. Garland looked like night and day. Garland was excellent in game two. LeVert was excellent in game two. Where was Garland game three? You know? And the Knicks just haven't looked back. Even the game today on Sunday, the Cavs got down early. They were down 15 at one point, got it down to 9 at halftime, climbed back into it, you know, midway through by the end of the third quarter, they were back in it again.
Yeah.
But the game slipped away with them, pretty quickly, into the fourth quarter, and the Knicks again just never looked back. The Knicks just look more hungry than what the Cavs do.
The Knicks, yeah, I mean, hats off to the
Yeah,
Knicks. They were
sure.
having a hell of a shooting night too because they just could not miss. It just seemed like everything went the Knicks' way. Like every shot was going in.
Yeah,
Um, they were playing more aggressive. I felt like I know this is going to sound like a cop out, but it felt like they were being allowed to play more aggressive. I felt like anytime the Cavs like started to try to get physical on the defensive end, they'd get a ticky tack uh,
yeah,
call against them. Like at the halftime, I was looking and I saw the Cavs had 12 fouls on them. New York only had 4. Well, I mean, that's just hugely lopsided, and
yeah.
that's just kind of the way I felt as I was watching the game. I was like, they're getting tagged with all these little hand check fouls, and New York is just like robbing the ball from the guys, and they're letting it go as a steal. So it was
Yeah.
very frustrating to watch these past couple of games when you got all that going on in New York.
Yeah, and I mean that just comes with the territory. Unfortunately, of the playoffs. I mean, in the home court calls, right? And it's the Garden and the crowd, and it's big, right? So we were concerned about how were the Cavs going to react, especially the young players that haven't been there before in their first playoff run. This team, everything that we're seeing right now is really nothing new. It's been there all year long. They haven't been a good team on the road. Their bench has been shoddy at best. Like they're not consistent, right? Chetty can have an amazing game one night and have a week and a half where he's horrible. Same with LeVert, and their defense is usually better than what it has been. But those other things has kind of been a year long issue, right?
Well,
So it's kind of not surprising that we're seeing it come out now in the playoffs against a
yeah,
team who's
I,
hungry and exposing it.
I mean, if you remember back to mid-season when the Cavs were really hot and really rolling,
Mhm.
you'd see 4 or 5 guys, 6 guys with double-digit points, and they were swinging the ball really well on offense and getting everyone involved. And then as you got towards the end of the season, they started relying more and more on Mitchell, and Mitchell getting 40-point
40 points. Yep.
games, constantly 30 points, 40 points. And, that's when they started falling into that offense where it was the Donovan Mitchell show. and instead of getting everyone involved, and that's how the regular season ended. That's how we rolled into these playoffs, where it's all on Donovan Mitchell's shoulders, and you can't do that in the playoffs. And now we're starting to see, oh, you know, now we're screwed because we got
Yeah,
away
yeah. I
from
mean,
what worked in the right way of playing basketball.
and what was his production today? I mean, he had 11 points today. He had a horrible shooting day. He admitted it post game. He said, I played like shit, basically. Everybody else did what they were supposed to do. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Good on him to take that, blame and
Mm-hmm.
recognize that. But yeah, I mean, this team is most dangerous when five players are in double digit scoring, right? It's always better that way, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's just frustrating. Game 3, Garland was off. Game 4, Mitchell was off. And those are your two top heavy guys. Again, the Mitchells, the Leverts, they're capable of going off, but you can't rely on that, and you can't have both either a Garland or a Mitchell both being off. They both got to get you 20 plus, consistently. 11 points just isn't going to cut it, right? So the Cavs kind of just they're at where they're at because of the holes, the gaps they've had on this team all year long. It feels like. I agree. The Knicks are not a great matchup, right? But that's what happens when you put yourself, in the 4 seed. The Knicks match up well, and it didn't help today too that they finally let RJ Barrett have a game. He's been having a horrible series. He goes off for 26 today. Josh
Yeah.
Hart really, he had a nice game 1, but then he struggled game 2 and 3. You let him drop 19 today.
Mm-hmm.
Julius Randle only scores 7 points, but you can't take advantage of that because you let those other two people that I just listed out have a great game. You know what I mean? And Brunson did what Brunson always does, put up 29 or whatever he did. So, just defensively, the Cavs, aren't doing a good enough job from preventing, that offense either from the Knicks.
Right. Yeah, totally agree. I think this is just me being crazy, but another thing I that really annoys me watching these games is that they have uh, Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy
Yeah.
calling the games, who both Van Gundy was the coach for the Knicks and Mark Jackson played for the Knicks, and it's just so biased and the calling is so one sided. And any time there's a foul, they're agreeing that it's a good foul against the Cavs and or a bad foul against the Knicks. It's just super frustrating to watch, and I don't like that they let that happen on a nationally televised playoff game like that. That's just
I've seen some people complain online today
so
about that
obnoxious.
as
Yeah,
well. But hey, again, it's the playoffs. It's not meant to be easy. It's not supposed to be a cakewalk.
no,
And I don't know how this
and that
thing is
doesn't
going
have
to.
anything to do with the game. That's
Yeah,
just
sure.
as a fan, as a viewing experience. They should have
Right.
had a non-bias play calling commentary to keep it interesting and fair for both sides instead of
Yeah. Or at least let us
you
throw
know
Mike Fratello on there or something, who's been
Austin
calling games with
Carr.
the
Put Austin
Cavs. Or
Carr in there.
yeah,
Let's
put
mix it up.
Austin. Oh man, can you imagine Austin Carr arguing with them?
Uh, he'd kill
That'd
those
be
guys.
hilarious. That'd be hilarious. So Cavs, yeah. So we're 4 games into this series. Game 5 is back at home this Wednesday. So the Cavs got a couple days here to figure their shit out, basically, right? And it's a must-win game. Otherwise, the season's done. It'd be very, very painful to be done after 5 games. Like if the Knicks end the series in Cleveland, that's just gonna the knife's already in. That's just gonna twist it, right? So the Cavs got to find a way to win this game. I think they will. I think Mitchell will have that 40-point game, and I think they'll find a way to rally to win it. And then from there, anything's possible, right? You take it one game at a time. But Alex, from your point of view, what do the Cavs need to do? What adjustment do they need to make now to ensure they get that victory at home on Wednesday? Is it going deeper into the rotation? Is it switching up matchups? What do you think is most needed?
I think it's all those things. I think, it's switching up matchups. It's not letting one person get torched by Brunson, they need to rotate guys onto him. They need to try to confuse him. They need to try everything they can to slow him down because he's the one that's killing them.
Yeah,
Hart
but
can
you
score a
knew he was going to do that.
few,
You knew he
Randall
was
can
going to do
score a
that
few.
though. We
Yeah,
talked about that.
but they
That
did
Brunson's
nothing to
going to
try
get
to stop
his.
him. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
watching Jetty on Brunson again for the fourth night in a row, and it does nothing, is not the answer. Um,
Who would you start Game 5? Would you go back to Okuro and put Levert back at the bench? Would you roll with Levert?
Yeah, I would go back to Okoro. I would
Okay.
try switching some other players onto him, like you said, Neto. I tried putting Neto on him. I would even try rotating Stevens on him just to see how that
Yep.
goes. I know Brunson's going to be a little quick for Stevens, but Stevens has size, and Stevens got that junkyard dog to him. So I'd love to see Stevens on Brunson and just give it a few minutes, see how it works out. We got to try something. The other thing that I would try is I'd try to get the bigs more involved on the offensive end. Swing that ball around, work it inside, play the inside out game, try that. We haven't been doing that. It seems like we've been doing a lot of perimeter shooting. We've been doing a lot of mid range shooting with Garland and Mitchell. And when they're having off nights, that game's not going to work. We need to get Mobley involved. We need to get Allen involved, get those guys, get them the high efficiency scoring right around the hoop. That's what we need to do. We need to get the offense clicking, more players involved, you know, get
Yep.
these get our bigs involved. I mean, that's the big thing, right? We're not getting rebounds. We're not getting those points in the paint. It's just frustrating to watch when they're not doing the easy things, the things that they've been doing all season.
What do you think about Mobley? So Mobley's kind of getting pushed around a little bit by Randall. Mobley
And
beats him
and
sometimes because he's faster. What do you
yeah,
think about switching Allen onto Randall and letting Mobley guard Mitchell Robinson? Who Robinson's a high energy guy. He's going to have weight on him too, but it's more
Robinson's
like
a
you're
big guy.
making
He's real
make
big. He's
make
muscular
Robinson
and
beat you instead of Randall though. You see what I'm
yeah,
saying? I don't know.
yeah. I mean, Robinson, he's been pulling down rebounds like a beast
Yeah.
and pushing Mitchell and Allen around, which is one of the reasons why we're having such a hard time rebounding. Because Mitchell Robinson, he's been a beast in there, and he might not be an offensive weapon, but he's changing the game for them by keeping our bigs from
He's a
doing
nice
what
player.
they
I mean,
what they need to
he's
do.
their Jared Allen basically. He's their energy guy, that just athletic dude that
Yeah,
just he gets double doubles just because he's always around the rim. He's always active. You could throw him an alley oop or he'll get a putback slam or whatever, just like Jared Allen. And right now, he's Allen had a nice first game, 14 and 14. Obviously, the Cavs lost, but since then, it's kind of not been the typical Jared Allen we're used to seeing. So I don't know. Randall likes to shoot a lot of threes. Mobley's a little bit more agile than what Allen is. I don't know. Hopefully, just bigger staff. Hopefully, he has something up his sleeve as far as how he's going to make, this some sort of adjustment to help swing in our favor a little bit, especially that Game 5 at home.
yeah, yeah. They got to try something. I mean, there's
Yeah.
not much left to reach down into the bench, right? You got Dean Wade, Stevens,
It's very
Neto.
telling. It's very telling though. So that's where the Cavs gotta, ultimately this summer, no matter how this ends, reassess their bench, right? I
Mhm.
mean, they give the Dean Wades, multi-year contracts, and they love the Lamar Stevens and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's a reason why JB hasn't gone to either one of them, because
I I think
he
that's
has
his mistake. I don't think there is
it
a
might
reason.
be it might be his mistake. He went to Danny Green instead, but it just tells you the level of confidence, I guess I would say.
He was
But
playing Lamar Stevens all season, and now we're in the
yeah,
playoffs, and he's not playing him. Hey, guess what? We were winning all season.
yeah, the Cavs had their. The thing is, though, is Stevens was like Chetty, to where JB would ride him for a week or so, and then he wouldn't play for a week or so. It just kind of depended on who was healthy. But I'm with you. If I had to pick one guy that hasn't played yet to give some run on 5, it'd be Stevens. Stevens is the guy. Neto would be my number 2, but Stevens. And if Rubio does get any playing time, he's got to do something. He's got to produce in some way, somehow. That's been pretty disappointing because we all love Rubio. We loved what he did last year. We were so happy he was brought back this year. To see him really not even be able to be utilized in any way in this series has been disappointing. And we need a game from Rubio. We need a spark off the bench, and maybe Stevens is that guy. We'll see.
Yeah.
If anything, Alex, I'll say this: the takeaway from all this, after this is done, it's the Cavs have gotten that learning experience going through the playoffs, and we'll hopefully have them come back, hungry next year. Because to be honest with you, a first round exit is not going to really meet the bar for probably not only what the fan base had, but what the organization have when they made that blockbuster trade for Donovan Mitchell last year. Is there any regret making that trade? Hell no. You make it again 10 times over. But at the same time, it's going to be disappointing if you don't make it out of the first round. And it's not looking good right now. So,
Yeah, I agree with you. I would say, man, first round, we should have made it through the first round. It sucks how we got paired up with New York, who's probably one of the worst matchups for us
yep.
in the East, and it's still a step further than last season. We did make a step farther. We're getting playoff experience. I wish we could play a little better in this round one, but I don't know what
Hey,
else to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just take it one game at a time. Figure out a way to win game 5 at home. Again, it'd be horrible to exit the first round losing at home. I might just have to turn off social media for a couple days after that because it's just going to be, the Cavs just getting roasted, right? And then after that, anything can happen. I mean, if you figure out a way to go in New York and get a win and we get to a game 7, heck, that confidence and that momentum swings back in your favor. But you got to figure out a way to win the next game, and you got to figure out a way to sustain the momentum after that and not let New York adjust yet again and figure out a way to beat you in New York. So the Cavs got their work cut out for them. We know it can be done. I don't know if it will be done this time. But man, it sure is a tough spot, Alex. And I hate that. We weren't able to record for a little while and now that we're here, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This could potentially be the last time we're recording while the Cavs are still playing basketball. The next time we record, it's I hope it's not, we're talking about the season's over and all that. So, I'm not ready for it to be over. I'm sure Cavs fans feel the same way.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I don't know what else to get into, Alex. We both said
I
before
don't
we
know.
started recording, it's been a crappy weekend. The weather sucks again. The Cavs are losing to freaking New York, and we might want to keep this one short.
Yeah, I was trying to think, if there was anything else that I wanted to touch on while we were recording because, man, had a lot of emotions watching these games. There's definitely a lot of yelling at the TV. The officiating, the ticky-tack calls, the biased commentary, the just all the things that are just, watching the
Crappy
Cavs
Cavs
not
basketball.
box out, not rebound,
Right.
take really bad shots. You know, Mitchell, running to the corner and jumping and shooting while falling sideways. None of that stuff's going to go in. If it does, it's
No.
luck. It's why, man,
It's
pick
not the
your
team that
shots,
we
get to your
watched.
spots and take your
Yeah.
shots.
Just slow down and just they're trying to keep up. I was texting, I think it was game 3, because game 3 was where, again, the Knicks made a really good defensive adjustment, and they were just the ball just slipped out of Levert's hands, and that felt like that happened 4 or 5 times, maybe 6
Yeah.
times throughout the game. We were just playing a step too fast. We would get a steal, and we were already going the other way. Kuro got a steal, and it ended up being a travel or something like that, or a double dribble or a carry, whatever it was, offensive foul. Just slow it down, Play your game. You don't got to play their game. We're one of the slowest offensive teams in the league.
And they're one
But
of
that
the
doesn't,
fastest.
and they're one of the
And they're
fastest. So
running the ball,
yep,
and
yep.
we're
And I get
yep.
it. That's part of the Cavs' problem is the Knicks come out the gate faster than the Cavs do from an offensive standpoint. Every single game, even game 2, we're playing from behind. We got down by 9 or 10 points early in game 2, and I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? And then we hit a couple back-to-back threes and had control by the end of the first quarter, and we never looked back from there. But every single game has been the same story. It's the Knicks coming out faster than the Cavs. So I get why there's that kind of sense of urgency to try to go run and all that stuff. But man, I'd rather get a set play and get a bucket versus trying to worry about beating them down the floor every time and taking these, horrible shots as a result. And there's no bigs down there to rebound because, someone's zipping off and our bigs are still at half court by the time, we're down at the rim.
Yeah. Yep.
So they just got to play their basketball, man. They just got to play their basketball. They're capable of beating anybody in this league. They beat the Bucks. They beat the Sixers. They had some great wins this year. They had some great losses as well.
Yeah.
Some embarrassing losses.
Yep.
Figure out a way to beat them game 5.
This is also what kind of makes last season's ending also a little more disappointing. Losing those 2 games, those 2 play-in games that they could have won, they could have got a taste of playoffs last season and got a little bit of that experience of what to expect. The big lights, the crowd, everything that seems to be giving them the jitters in this series. They could have already experienced that, and then it's just one more little thing that seems to be biting them in the butt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to go through those growing pains, right? And right now they're definitely going through it. And I agree. We didn't have all the same, we didn't have Mitchell and stuff like that last year, but it would have been great if the Garlands and the Mobleys and the Okuros could have gone through this once before. But hey, it is what it is, man. We can't worry about that. Only what we're going to do moving forward. And they got a big game, man. They got a big game Wednesday at home in Cleveland. I know the crowd will show up as they always do. And
they got to win out. They got to win out.
Yeah, they got to win out, man. If they could find a way to get out of this series, watch out, But it starts with game 5. So,
yeah.
All right, Alex. I don't really got anything else to say. There was a New Road Back that came out. I didn't even watch that because I was just down in the dumps this weekend with these 2 Cavs losses and just where we're at. So I got nothing else. If you don't got nothing else, let's wrap this one up. And we'll be talking to you Cavs fans again soon. So Alex, why don't you go ahead, let them know where they could follow us and connect with us.
Follow us on Twitter at Cavs Pick and Roll. Shoot us an email, cavspickandroll@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Tumblr. Watch us on YouTube. I think that's it.
All righty. All right. Well, there it is, Cavs fans. We will talk to you again soon.
Peace out, Cavs fans.